Hello, everyone. Hello, week before Thanksgiving, people. I am Infinity with Reality Skewed Gamers, and welcome to another episode of The Bunker Underground, where we talk about State of Survival, a mobile game about zombie survival, and we go through news and other things, and much to usually Mako's chagrin, we go on different kinds of conversation topics and cosigns all throughout the day. Mako, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. Got a lot to discuss today, so I'm sure if we do get in a little tangent, we'll be a little later today.
Don't be so sure about that. Just you never know. I would not bank on it just being later. I'm just gonna throw that out there. You never know when I'm gonna randomly have a nonsensical topic to discuss. It happens often. It happens quite often. Okay, so this week actually we have a lot to discuss because the developers did a huge feedback post, and it seems like they also did some kind of like online kind of Q&A with the players as well, and they kind of summarized that. So there has been a lot of feedback from the developers this week, which is great compared to some of the previous weeks where we kind of had a little bit of a lull kind of in the way they've been doing the developer feedback. And the developer feedback has been huge overall, I think, to the game. So we're just going to go ahead and start jumping into it. Hello, Ronnie K. How are you doing? Glad to have you here. We're going to jump into it because, again, there is a lot to go over today. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. And I'm going to just start off. Delete should be joining here shortly. And so as soon as he joins, he'll be able to jump in. But we can go ahead and start. You are awesome, Ronnie K. Mm-hmm. That is true. You are awesome, Ronnie K. Mm-hmm. So let me do this. Then we'll do this.
There's plenty of awesome people.
I mean, it depends.
Especially not the ones that seem to be always late these days.
I mean, are you talking about someone in particular? Like someone that may be above my head here? Like someone like that?
Typically the man in the mirror.
Hello, Joseph Pesh. How are you doing? Glad to have you here. Aerith is here as well. Hey to you. Welcome, guys. If you missed the beginning, I have not gone on a really big tangent yet, and there is a lot to discuss. There's a lot to discuss because there was a huge amount of developer feedback that was given, and we're going to start going through that. Oh, you know what we need to do because we haven't done it. Mako, I hope you're ready too. Delete. Say hi to everybody in chat.
Yeah. I mean, it can't go episode without it. Really can't.
No, we have to. It's just it's the way it is now. We have no other way of doing it. That's the way we have to.
No turning back. There's no turning back.
Nope. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into the developer feedback because there was quite a bit that they provided beginning with last Friday. So again, shout out to the devs. It is awesome that they're actually doing kind of these bigger developer feedbacks again and giving us all the information. If you haven't seen it, they broke this down quite a bit. So we're going to jump into each section. So I'll just start off by reading off and we'll stop periodically like we always do and then start to discuss. So, hi survivors. We heard all of your comments and feedback and appreciate your love and passion for State of Survival. We totally understand why you are upset about the recent issues in the game, and we are trying our best to fix and optimize the game. So again, if you're not familiar, last week we discussed a little bit about the changes they made to the slots event, where they had the ability to buy the skin tickets for a really good rate and then kind of backtracked on it a little bit. So before we continue, Delete, what ultimately happened with yours?
So I'm still dealing with it because basically my VIP concierge is only available from 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to when I'm asleep. So I'll send a message and then she'll respond back like an hour later, and then it'll be like crickets. And then I'll wake up the next morning and then she's already gone, and I'll see like, here it is. So first I was like, you know what, just go ahead and like give me my money back. Just go ahead and give me whatever it was. I think I bought a full run. So what is that, $185? So I was like, just give me my money back. And she was like, oh, if you keep it, we'll give you an extra $50. Right. And then I was just like, oh, all right. I'll just take it in plasma, I guess. Give me the plasma back. And then it was like, oh, developers have come back and they said they're not going to do that. They're going to go ahead and we're going to do this. So it was like, you bought this amount of tokens, so that is like, this much dollars a token. So basically you're getting $49.99 back. And I was just like, well, wait, what? And I was like, it went from me getting like a full refund plus 50, which is a $235 swing, or $235 swing, to now me being at $50 for the same thing. And I go, what's happening here? I was like, I bought it because of the deal. It wasn't my mistake, so I don't understand how this all equates to anything, and I'll actually put back what she said. Let's see. It's convenient having it all in Discord because it's like, and then it turned into me basically kind of like not ripping her, but definitely complaining, pretty hardcore. Like, she was like, hey, let's get this done now. And I was like, okay. And then it was server maintenance for 2 hours when she said we could get it done right now. So I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, the game is down, so we can't even do it. And apparently there's a way for them to, when you guys probably don't know, but for those that buy packs, it brings up the menu, you press go, and right when it's about to get to the payment screen, they have a way to basically bypass that. So they'll get like the signal that you're trying to buy something, and then they can waive that as you're trying to buy it. And I was telling her, I was like, all right, so in order for me to buy the $50 pack, I have to go ahead and buy, the 5, the 10, and the 20. I was like, so you're asking for more money to get money back. I was like, I don't understand how this works. And she goes, no, we'll just skip those steps. And I'm like, why won't you just send me the $50 value bundle to my mail? Why would we have to go through those steps? Why is this so difficult? So I went into, how I was like, listen, I'm really thinking about stopping spending altogether. This is crazy. The amount of like hijinks that this has basically created. I understand mistakes are made, but I shouldn't be responsible for those mistakes. I saw something in the game, I took advantage of it, and now it's been taken away from me, and I can't do anything about it. There's no recourse, so I'll just, gladly take my money back. So unfortunately, I think I am out of like the 24 to 48 hour window that Google Play, because I play on Android, allots for basically, for getting refunds at this point. Because you have a 24 to 48 hour window where they can just automatically reverse it. Like the, intern customer service guy or gal can go ahead and just give that back to you. At this point, I really don't have any recourse as far as like doing anything. So I went into like, the complaints that we talk about here. I was like, Migo and Yith are kind of a joke. There are certain things that are just, awful about them, and they're kind of retreads of each other. Azertane Heist was an awful and broken experience for basically everyone that played. I was like telling her I can go on and on about the game, and then I was like, not for nothing, but you're supposed to be the person that's helping me, and you're not even available during my hours that I'm awake. And then she goes, oh, I'm really sorry for the inconvenience. I can swap this for you as soon as possible. It was like a full, like 3-page, kind of like list of complaints about what's going on in the game. and there was some good stuff in there. I said, listen, I appreciate the developer feedback that we get weekly, the updates, everything's really slow in coming. Like I was like, state merge was a great option, but it's basically rolling out slower and slower and slower and slower, and I'm in a state where it just doesn't make any sense. Like, and then I went into how excessive and how, crazy that they changed red badges to you needing like certificates to buy them. And it was like, you're constantly pushing back the goal of the game, by making things that you've already paid for less valuable, which was kind of unfair because, I understand everyone wants to make money, but to go ahead and change the currency in your game to less expensive so you can create something else is kind of not really fair, in a lot of ways, especially for the people that have paid and kind of built up the game, as whales of this game. It's kind of a rough trade-off, and it's kind of rough to see, but I understand that just about every game does this. It's not like this is new to State of Survival, but at the same time, there are better ways to do it, and there are better ways to handle it, and there are definitely better ways to basically deal with the one-to-one experience that your bigger players have. So that's where I'm at. I went from getting $185 back to getting $50, and it being just a nightmare to go ahead and get my $50 back. Like, they had the badge deal for the certificates, and I was like, oh, this would have been nice to go ahead and use. And I was like ready to ask her, why don't you just put a $50 credit in there for me? So this way I can just go ahead and spend at my leisure and just kind of go from there. Like one free $50 bundle. If you can do all these other technical things, I don't understand why you can't do this. So it's still going on, still a saga. And I'm just like, man, I'm like, why is this? Why am I doing this? It was just, it's been crazy because, thinking about and just looking at the developer feedbacks and the comments in there, most of them are just people going wah wah, and then there's like one of the few that's like the bad ratings when you're going to buy something on Amazon. I don't go to the 5-star ratings, I go to the 1-star ratings, and then I throw out the ones that are like, oh, this person's crazy and didn't read the instructions, or this person's just a lunatic, period. And I go, oh, this is poorly made. It's kind of broken the first week or something like that. Those are the ones I kind of take into context. And if you do the same thing for the developer feedback comments, it's always the same thing. Like, hey, I'm in a state that's surrounded by, states that basically have 2 alliances that are playing still, that are actually active. And of those alliances, probably only 40 do anything past, their dailies, if that. So, it was kind of clear to me that even if you merge states one at a time, you've got to do, almost 20 state chunks before it actually makes a difference in the actual gameplay of the game. And then if you're taking, states that basically will have, at this point, 8 max players, 10 max players because of the length of time and the money that they've spent, you're now creating juggernauts in the game, that really can't be compared to, because they've had the opportunities to get more skins. They've had the opportunities to really max everything out, and their scale is just so much larger. So then, who are you really competing against? So then it's going to be more you're basically going to be fighting, kind of yourself again. So it's like, that's not necessarily fair either. So it's definitely like a weird thing. Yeah, that's kind of all I have to say about that, I think.
Well then.
But yeah, I dropped that. It dropped.
That was quite a bit.
Yeah, touched on a lot. It touched on a lot. So yeah, I'm still dealing with it.
Yeah. It's an interesting kind of scenario you're in there, huh?
It was weird. It was weird. It was just like, hey, we messed up, but we're not really going to do anything about it. We're going to take the stuff out of your backpack, but we're not going to go ahead and put anything into your backpack. You know, like them telling me that they can't really like put anything in is like, wait, what? You can take out, but you can't put in? I'm just, yeah, that's possible.
Eric says, at least you were not banned from buying for complaining.
Yeah, which has happened to me actually in the past. Because I complained. It was when they stopped free helps, you know, to like basically heal your troops. I was just like, wait, you guys just completely shattered terms of service here. You know, like this was something that was part of the game, and now you're taking it away. So, you know, I got like a pretty big refund only because I went like on a crazy spending spree the time before, but you know, I'm still playing the game. So all that did was make all the packs that I wanted to buy, you know, they basically sort of like punished me in a credit situation. So it was like, until I eclipsed my credit, I couldn't buy anything that actually went into my account until I eclipsed my credit. So that was awful, even though I was spending for it. So it was like, they wanted that refund before they gave me anything back. And it was, man, this is weird. It's weird. But it's definitely going to change, you know, the way that I spend in games moving forward, you know, because it just, you get to the end game of games, you know, and you're like, oh, well, this is it. I wish it was like an NFT or something where you like every time that, you know, delete was sold or something like that. Not saying that I would sell my account because that would be crazy, but, you know, I'd rather keep it than sell it for pennies, not even, you know, fractions of pennies on the dollar, you know, to go ahead and get like 0.1% back on an account. It's just like, yeah, oh, I guess. And people are like, well, it's better than nothing. And I'm like, I guess.
Ronnie K saying that your explanation was big and deep. And that when you're talking about the banning, he said that I learned did happen to a lot of players. So, yeah, I mean, it's an issue. One of the things is, and we've mentioned this before, mistakes happen, right? You try to minimize the amount that mistakes happen, but mistakes happen. How you deal with those mistakes is more important because that's how people will remember it. Everyone will know that the mistake happened, but those involved will remember how you dealt with it. And especially when it's typically with spenders, it's important that you handle it in the right way. And this was probably not the correct way. If they spent and took advantage of something that you put in the game by mistake, they didn't do anything wrong. And it seems like all the actions are being taken kind of in a way that punishes them. Maybe not intentionally, but it does. And they're not kind of compensating it well enough to correct it. But we'll see how it plays out with you.
If you went out to like a restaurant, you got like, you know, your steak was overcooked or undercooked or whatever, you know, they don't try to just go ahead and be like, well, sorry, you got to buy it again. You know, the resolution is always easier. And I think the biggest point, you know, that kind of like, you know, bothers me the most about it is the fact that they're really not losing anything by just keeping it the way that it is, you know, because it's still a part of their game. You're still playing it. You know, it didn't cost them money to put it in the game, you know, and I still bought it. Even though it was cheaper, I still did buy it. You know, it's not like it's like, you know, you go to the register at Walmart and you're buying a big screen TV for $1,500 and it rings up at $85. You know, like, you know, it's not like they, you know, Walmart basically, they still paid cost on that, you know, like they don't really pay cost on any of this, because it's just a drawing. So I don't know. That's me in a nutshell.
Yeah. I'll say there's a grocery store down in the southeast. It's called Publix. I don't know how many people are familiar with it. But Publix has a policy where if you go up to the register and in the actual aisle it had a price, right? And you go to the register and it rings up as something different, you let the cashier know, they go to the aisle, they check it, they come back. If you were right and they didn't discount it, they remove whatever sign it was, because chances are it was left there erroneously. But then you get your item free. because it's not your fault that you saw the price at that price. So they'll give you one for free, and then the other ones, if you get like multiple of them, they'll give you those at the cost, and they eat it for the mistake because it is their mistake. That's the way that it should be handled. So if they made a mistake in this scenario with the tickets, just eat it. That you already had people actually pay in order to get those tickets. So you can just say it was a mistake. Those that got it, and those that didn't get it in time, well, that's just the way it is. It wasn't supposed to be that way. And you move on. So
yeah, and it's the way that they've handled it in the past. Like the Halloween skin that I have, like me and only 2 other accounts made the trade. It was like trade your your duplicate skins in to get and it was like the picture was supposed to be in March, and it ended up being like an HQ skin. So I was like, oh my god! I was like, all right, sweet. I'll go ahead and take this, and then poof, and they let me have it. I still have it. So I don't understand why they didn't do the same here. Because that was even in the worst trade. They gave me an HQ skin for absolutely nothing. So it was weird. The whole thing was really weird. Either too many people and like it's all based off of our I guess in a if you were looking at it in a business class stance, it's based off of, all right, how many people took advantage and how many people didn't, and what would it, how many people are we going to piss off if we do this, or vice versa, So I don't know if it was like, oh, a lot of people had this happen to them, so we're going to screw a lot of people, or not really enough people had this happen to them, so we don't really care if we piss them off, So it was kind of weird. It was a very strange thing.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yeah. And honestly, they could have just let it go as a secret Black Friday State of Survival sale, and it would have just been over with. Like, yep. And be on the lookout for other potential secret sales. And then everyone would just be like constantly checking the game for something popping up. Like, they could have actually driven more people to actually get into the game and look for things. So, but okay. So we will continue here. So continuing with the post. Yeah, and Ronnie K is saying that's the way it should be. Yeah, Publix handles it well, and I wish SOS would do something similar, but we shall see. There's still time for them to correct stuff with delete. We'll see if they do, but continuing with the post. About the most frequently encountered issues in today's communication, we have summarized the progress of key issues such as reward updates, merging, matching optimization, etc. And we will keep our promise, so we hope you will not hesitate to give us feedback. In addition to the frequently encountered issues mentioned today, we will launch a monthly solution plan for bugs and pending optimization issues by next Friday, so stay tuned. And this was a post from last Friday. So be on the lookout for tomorrow, but there is another post they had earlier this week. So but then they said, we aim to improve our communication with you, the survivors, as well as with the following improvements. So first, accelerate the iteration of our customer support system and team expansion to bring more timely service to everyone. So part of me thinks a lot of this might be initiated by that 3-page whatever from delete. So
you're welcome, everybody.
So, yes, so that's a good idea. And then in the process of upgrading the customer service system starting today, we will have dev respond to the high frequency questions of the day in the Discord feedback channel on a daily basis. And then at the same time, we will create a new new channel in Discord, players and developers, for players and devs to directly exchange game feelings and suggestions. So they do have a new channel in the Discord called Players and Developers. And basically it's kind of like a reply type of thing that they have going on, and they're trying to create some threads and other things to go along with that. So it's a good start. Granted, I think that's what general chat was supposed to be, but then general chat just became a cluster. So now they created a new channel, and that channel is probably also going to become a little bit of a cluster later on. But it is what it is. They have restricted access to players and developers, though. So I think they just periodically open it or something, but it's a restricted channel for that. But continuing with the developer feedback here. First thing, about bugs and the compensation process. Aha. So, we sincerely apologize for the recent encountered issues in the Trick or Treat and Lucky Slot events. We wanted to solve these issues as soon as possible, which resulted in a bad impact on the player's experience. In the future, we will put the following items into place. Optimize the testing mechanism and issue monitoring mechanism for new events to minimize the occurrence of bugs as much as possible. And for possible bug compensation process, we will inform players of the detailed reasons for the problem and how to deal with it, so that everyone can get more adequate information. At the same time, we will also re-optimize the compensation content to reduce the impact of bugs on players as much as possible. So basically, they seem to have realized they messed up the way that they handled this compensation, and they're going to try to find a new way. It still doesn't sound like they're just going to eat it, basically. They're going to try to find another way, but they seem to be in a way of, we'll talk to you more about it to reduce your impact, which is what it seems like they're doing with you right now, Delete. A little bit late, and maybe not the greatest solution, but that's what they seem to be trying to do, right? It's just finding a way to compensate you in some way without kind of the full refund type of thing.
Yeah. It's just wonky. Because it was like, I mean, they said a lot without saying that much. You kind of have to fill in your own, your own deal. Because it's like, oh, it could be great. But really all they're saying is like, we're just going to put more in the mail when we say that we messed up, as opposed to like, sorry for the inconvenience. Mm-hmm. They can just say, sorry for the inconvenience in this event. Now they, kind of gave you the more information that you wanted without really doing anything. Not to say that I'm jaded and not on the hopeful side, but more information is always better. Even if it's a little bit more, it's definitely always appreciated. So it could be great, and it definitely could. It always could be better, and it's as much of an admonishment of guilt than anything else, But there's also the lines that they have to skirt with terms of service too. Like you can't break those rules. The Google and Apple Store terms of service are ironclad. Because they'll always step in and be like, okay, all right, they messed up. Mm-hmm.
So, Mako, let me ask you now. So, we know that they will periodically mess up something like this, right? But it also seems like they are of the mindset that, well, I don't want to let this through, so let's find a different compensation type of thing. Ideally, like if you were to try and design a way for them to kind of fix the compensation, right? Where you have those two as kind of the basis, right? That they will mess up, but they also don't want to live up to the mess up. They want to find another way around it. What would be kind of a way that you think they might be able to kind of do something in order to correct the situation? When we can use deletes as an example, but is there something other than eating it, or is there something else you can think of that may work better? Or
make it even.
How so?
So, like, if everybody that jumped on the bandwagon for Delete's pack that he bought, and they take it away from everybody, and they try and give everybody their own different kind of compensation, that's just stupid. Just give it a blanket thing, or just say, hey, everybody who bought this pack, you guys just get to keep it. Then we'll offer a different pack for other accounts, maybe that didn't have the chance or that were offline for that time. And I have only bought the one pack, and that was the second builder back like 3 months into the game because I was trying to keep up with level 30s. But I'm still salty about the first Kamute event where they had the top 150 people get a permanent skin. Well, they messed up and gave the top 100 people in every state skin, and I was one of them that got the skin. And then the next day I logged in and I was like, whoa, where's my permanent skin that I just got yesterday? And as a free-to-play, that was like, it's a big deal to get a skin because I've never even sniffed the top 10 in a skin event, ever. So it's like, okay, I got a really cool skin that I thought is really sweet looking, and I was like, okay, I'm never going to get this ever before. Hey, I got my choice of skins. I got this perfect skin. Then you come in the back door, and they're like, oh, yeah, we messed up. We took that away from everybody. Well, if you messed up and gave it to too many people, why don't you just give everybody that skin then? Because then you're not giving anybody one advantage. I mean, I don't know. It's just that one kind of upset me just because it's like when you give a free to play something that is worth more than their account right now, and then you take it away, you feel like Gollum losing his precious, and it's like, that was heart wrenching.
It took away tofu. I still remember. That hurt. I was so happy to have tofu in my base. Yeah. You just brought back bad memories. I miss tofu. I hope to get tofu back one day. I'm just collecting the skin tickets to hopefully one day have enough to get tofu back when I have enough. It's a lot of collecting that needs to be done, but I am collecting to try and get back tofu. I miss that little guy.
I mean, it's funny that they put skins on a really high pedestal. You know, like a really high pedestal. And like the only time that I've seen it make a massive difference or a real difference is when you have two max players going against each other. You know, because then it's the skins. You know, it's like everyone's max stats, max everything, then it's the overall attack. But besides that, it doesn't really make as much of a difference as I think it should for as high of a pedestal as they put it on, you know? So they should have just, you know, it's really better. It's better that you just eat it, you know, instead of pissing people off. It's better that you just eat it, you know, because it just having happy people in your store is a lot better than having upset people leaving your store.
Yeah. And just for reference, for those that now that the memory is here, that's tofu up at the top there. The little Chinese dragon just happily playing. He was happily playing in my base and everything. I was getting ready to like redesign my base around tofu and give him like a nice little play. Nope. He was taken. So I have lost tofu. I need to hopefully at one point reclaim tofu.
That's definitely one of the nicer skins out there.
I think so anyways. I like that one. But yeah. That was sad. Sorry, now I'm just staring at tofu and missing him. Okay, I need to get off the skin page. Okay, let's go ahead and get back to the developer updates. So that was about the bugs and the compensation. And then Ronnie K is talking about missing. Someone is missing. Where's Little Mako?
Little Mako's sleeping. He's not handling daylight savings time very well.
Oh, yeah.
He's usually asleep by like 6 o'clock now, like my time. It's just like, all right, you gotta stay awake for at least another hour, bud. So
poking him.
Yeah, like, all right, let's just go play in the bath for 45 minutes. I don't care if you get wrinkly or pruny. Just you are not sleeping right now.
I love it.
It's so funny. So, okay, I'm going on my tangent now. So, it's so funny how, like, babies and really old people are so similar. It is. It's like a cycle, right? So you start off in diapers, then you get out of the diapers, and then you're back into the diapers, right? You have, like, this weird sleep schedule. Then you get to kind of this stage where it's like, yeah, I have to wake up for work and all this. Then you retire and you're back to that. I'm just going to sleep whenever the hell I want schedule again.
Benjamin Button.
It truly is the cycle of life. There's way too many similarities between really old people and babies that it's it's really weird. But okay, I'm gonna focus again. Okay, we're focusing again. We're getting back to the developer update, and yeah, little Mako would actually make like a little. It makes a really cute little old man. Okay, so the next thing is, and hello Eric B, how are you doing? Eric B says states 1 through 6 have Joker. That's
Yeah.
the
new
resonating rider hero.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, and there were no, 1 through 6 wasn't the merge states. So 1 through 6 are still the standalone states. We merge right after that. So yeah. Okay. So we can get ready for that. Hooray! Okay, so the next thing is they talked about event rewards. So some of the event rewards are no longer able to meet the current needs of players due to the game having been launched for 2 years. We are aware of this problem and are eager to improve player experiences in this area. Due to a design deficiency in an earlier development, this piece requires a little surgery on the old functionality, but we'll improve this part as fast as we can. I'm going to stop there for a second. So it sounds like, based on this is probably why they have all the different versions of the game. Is that there was something broken and they never figured out how to fix the older one without kind of like destroying the state, so they just launched the new functionality. I really hope they can figure this out, because that is one of the biggest problems, I'm sure, for them as well as for players, which is all these different types of state kind of rules that are out there. So yeah, Eric B saying there's a dev Q&A happening on Discord right now too. Yes, in the player and developer feedback thing, they're currently doing questions. They're doing like live Q&A. It's interesting because then they prevent access, but they're asking questions. So we will get to that too. So right now we're just doing the regular developer feedback, and then we'll go to the Q&A and try to pick up some of those as well, Eric B. There's a lot going on, and I do give them credit for actually communicating more now, even though they may not be the answers we want to hear, but at least they're the answers that we're asking for, right? So that's actually the most important part. So I appreciate them kind of communicating this way. But continuing now, in fact, we have already done a lot of work in this area over a period of time. Reservoir rate optimization, additional hero frags, additional Becca frags in the Alliance store, second anniversary and Halloween events, supply hunt, and underground exploration reward enhancement in world events, and so on. Of course, more changes are already being planned. Fortress reward changes. They're going to replace useless items such as S1 hero frags, and this will be launched in December. And changes to store props such as the Alliance Showdown battles will go online quickly. We will continue to iterate on the reward content for older gameplay, so we hope you'll give us some more time. We also want these changes to be more in line with everyone's expectations, so we also hope to communicate with you in your community at any time. So I'm encouraged by that. What do you think, Mako? I'm encouraged by the fact that they're updating these rewards. They're looking to update the Fortress rewards, like I know you had mentioned multiple times in the past. So I'm overall pretty encouraged by this particular update that they're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, it's long overdue. It might be their way of trying to bring more relevance to Fortress and Bunker, because I mean, usually at least in 125, it's everybody goes for one bunker for the troop bonuses, and everybody else doesn't really care for the rest. It's just, all right, let's I mean, sure, we'll take a second facility so somebody registers for it, but if it's the first Fortress fight of the season, everybody goes for the top. I mean, nobody cares about the Maddie rewards. Nobody cares about Nikola badges. Nobody cares about skill books anymore because most of everybody who needs heroes are on the new generations where you don't need skill books. So it's long overdue that these are being changed, and I'm hoping it gets changed to like current generation and not from Gen 1 to like Gen 3 where we're getting Ash, Migo, and Zoe's fragments. Like, who needs those now too? So I'm hoping that they go full current with them and you're looking at the newest generation in heroes and stuff. And I hope that that makes them update them regularly. So like when new heroes pop out, we got facility 4 or whatever facility is this fight, it's going to have the new new hero fragment for that one, or just make them general frags. I mean, that might even just help a lot because then you're giving them to the entire alliance if you need to. So it's been long overdue. I know before I even started on here, when I was just watching when Venom and everybody else had first started, they were complaining about it. So I mean, it's been a long time coming. So it's good that they're changing that. I don't know. I don't even think I've ever bought anything in the Showdown store. Just there's nothing really relevant in there that I see. So I mean, we'll see what they come out with. It's good that it's happening, but we've gotten our hopes up before for things they've said, and they've been dashed before. So I guess I'll reserve judgment until they actually do it and we see what the rewards are, because they might update the store and it's hero gear parts or hero gear designs, which at this point you're looking at for both red gear and red badges where that stuff is basically non-relevant because you need to buy the new stuff now. So we'll see when they come out what it is, and I'll pass judgment then. But I think this is a good step.
Yeah. And Ronnie K said it shows that they're trying, which is good. He also said, I've heard not to get Becca, that she isn't worth it. I don't think Becca is a hero that you want in your marches. So no. She's not designed for that purpose. She's a newer hero, which you would expect her stats and everything to be really high, but that's not really her intended purpose. And actually, I had set something up in order to do kind of an experiment on stream, and we can see. I have Becca currently in my hero training area, right? And just one thing I wanted to check is to make sure that her level has no impact on any of her abilities. So normally when you level, it increases your explorer stats, right? So it increases your health, your attack, and your defense, and then your march capacity. But she has the special stats here that help with development and their the training and all of that, right? So what I'm going to do actually is we have these numbers now that you get instant construction time, you get 36 bonus minutes for that. You get construction speed of 11.25. You get the bonuses here, right? So if I actually remove her from the hero training area, and we will check her stats right now, actually, to make sure that those didn't change any. So all of these did go down, which is fine. But she's still at 11.25, 36, and all of these. So that means the only reason to get her frags is to increase these stats. These stats will probably go up with her frag and her ranking update, right? But the thing about that is you cannot use, if you notice, you cannot use general frags on her. So the only way to rank her up is to actually do that. But I wouldn't level her up because I have found that it's actually better to keep her lower. That way she doesn't accidentally go into a march. It's better to keep her power lower so she doesn't go into a march and then you lose her because you need her in the base in order to get those boosts. So you are correct that I don't think Becca is really worth like going all out for. She's also going to be an extremely long time to go after. because of how much the frags cost, and depending on your state. Because I think Mako, you had said that on your state she's in the Alliance store, but it's 300,000 for her.
Yeah.
And then in 359, she is always at a discounted price. So instead of the 335, she's at the 100,000. Because we always have like her at least so far she's shown up twice, and both times she's been at 70% off. So I assume she's just going to be in there for 70% off. So yeah, so she is. Yeah, Eric B is saying 335K for us. Yeah, so in 359 we get that 70% discount. We've had it twice. I don't know if it's 100% time that we're getting that discount, but the last 2 times when she's actually showed up, she was at that discounted rate. So I don't think Becca is anyone you particularly need to worry about. I would keep her level lower to keep her power lower so that she doesn't accidentally go out into a march. She is not the strongest of heroes, so you don't have to worry about that either. The only reason to collect her frags is to rank her up and maybe get a little bit of bonus on that construction time and all of that. But the fact that she's actually just in there, I would just leave her. I would just just get her and leave it.
Finn, pull up Becca quick for me.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's better to just not level her, but to go ahead and use the frags for her.
Yeah.
So you've got her at major step 1. I've got her at major step 5, about to go to lieutenant colonel. Go to her special stats quick.
Okay.
So I've got 45.6 minute cooldown for instant construction, 14.05 construction speed, 2.81 training resource requirements, and 5.62 construction resource requirements. So even
not a huge jump.
Yeah, not a huge jump for almost a full rank higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
still an improvement, but yeah, it's not a whole lot. So
right, I would probably, if you are going for somebody else and you're not spending, get your 100 frags with Becca just so you get the improvements and leave her.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not seeing a whole lot of jump because at this point in the game, nobody's really gonna need instant construction time of 36 minutes because all your builds are gonna be at least 7 days.
Yeah.
So that 36-minute instant construction time is not going to help you unless you haven't upgraded your farms in your settlement yet. So yeah, I would literally get your 100 frags and just leave her, and then you can focus on somewhere else. Just because, especially, and I don't know what the cutoff is for the Alliance store, but for anybody who's not in 359, 335,000 Alliance credits is a lot for one frag. So
yeah, it's pretty crazy, that amount. So yeah, so overall, I think you are correct, Ronnie. I don't think she's really all that worth it. If you can rank her, if you have nothing else to really spend Alliance tokens on, I think 100,000 is not terrible in terms of the exchange rate. I'm just periodically picking her up. 335, that's really steep. So for sure, if you're at a 335, then I would probably just forget it. There's usually going to be other things instead of that you can go after.
Yeah, 335 is equivalent to 5 advanced relocators, or even, what is that, 13 8-hour piece flares in our Alliance store. So your Alliance coins are well spent other places.
Hopefully, maybe she'll show up as a discount at some point. I don't know. That would be the hope anyways, since we get her at a discount.
I know I check the market stall daily, and I've never seen a fragment in there, but that could be a place for her to pop up. So you could sell like 7 million, put it as an advanced relocator, put 7 million iron, and you could get 1 fragment, or I think it's like 2 million gas and 13 or 38 million food and wood for advanced relocators. So
it'll probably be another event. It'll probably be an event that they go ahead and put her in. You know, it's funny that, the reason why they haven't changed the rewards for bunkers and facilities is because it's hardwired into the game. It's a strange way to do it, but I guess, it's like you kind of you kind of pay someone to kind of build a game a certain way, not knowing what it's going to be, and then they can't. The new team that comes in goes, I can't reverse engineer this. I kind of need to start both ways, and that's probably more of like, a contractor coming into your house building a deck, and you're like, I got to fire this guy. He's building it all wrong, and the new guy's like, I got to tear all this out. Even though you could probably salvage some of it, he's probably like, no, I want to get paid more. Like. So I need to tear this whole thing out and go back to formula on it. So, that's she might be, it might be tough to put her in more parts of the game, like market stall and things of that nature because of the way that the game's actually created.
Yeah. But I think they also want her to be kind of a rare kind of hero. Like, Becca has been kind of the buildup of this game, right? So I don't think they're in any hurry for people to, like, max her out. Now, what would
but it's like most of her stuff's not really that helpful. It is helpful a little bit, but it's not like...
It would be interesting, though, if at General, right? And I don't know. I haven't seen anyone get her to General yet. I don't know if anyone has. But... it would be really cool to see her at General give a research training boost. Because right now it's resources on construction, resources on troops, which are okay, but typically those aren't the limiting factors, right? And then you have the time that's on construction, which helps, but is minimal compared to kind of the overall time frame. And people that are maxed out, they're still working on research. Like, bonuses to research is really big later on. So if you get her to General and then you get like a research speed boost, I think that would be pretty nice. And especially if you can get a bonus of like 15-20% on that. I think that would be pretty cool.
That, or even if her construction resource bonuses went towards plasma.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you're talking... at General, maybe almost even 10%. If you can knock off 20 plasma off your headquarters at 6-star, or even if it works towards the polymerized plasma, you knock off one of those for every build, there's 5 extra plasma every time with her. That would make her hugely more coveted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true. Yeah, so that could be a cool way of getting Becca to be a little more involved without people having to go too crazy for her. So, but yeah, I'm kind of with. I think Mako was the one that was saying this too. I don't think they're going to introduce her in too many other places. I think she's just going to be in the Alliance store. Hopefully, they reduce the price a little bit for those that are at $335 because, again, the biggest issue: states that have to buy her at $335 can face states that are able to buy her at $100, right? It's just another discrepancy between the states that we don't need. Try to keep it as even as a battlefield as possible. We know that some of the states are under different rules than other ones, but it would be nice to actually have some things on a level playing field, even the acquisition of Becca frags, as minimal as that may be. Just kind of keeping that on the same page would be nice.
Yeah, even my dev question, because the way that they're doing it in the dev Q&A is they open it up. They kind of like, they open it up for a short period of time, and then they get like 80,000 questions, and then they close the question answering, and then they go, all right, devs are reading all this, and they'll get back to you. And then the devs post one giant, text in Discord that's just like scrolling forever, as an answer, basically. So my question was like, is there any focus on getting all the states on playing the same game? Because that would be nice, being able to share the experience, being that you have to go against other states in showdown and throwdown,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just FYI, they're doing their developer players and developers session right now, but they're doing it just for 2 hours, from 2 UTC to 4 right now. So they're about an hour into it. So by the time we're at the end of this, we'll be able to kind of go through their feedback channel and talk a little bit about it. Hello there, Mr. Win. How are you doing? That I am from Vietnam. Well, welcome. Glad to have you here. So we are currently going through some of the feedback that was posted. Not the current player and developer feedback. We'll get into that in a little bit. But first, we're going to go ahead and talk more about what they posted. So we talked a little bit about the event rewards. Now we're going to talk about merging. So, merging. We have heard the voices of players, and we will help all our survivors to be able to, quote, play with more people, unquote, through merging or other forms. At the moment, the first round of servers have been merged, and we are still observing the data. We're moving forward cautiously because we're concerned about how player experiences will be affected in case we don't do it right. Merging will bring more combat and competition, and we're still working on gameplay to match the merge. So, we will do observation and testing next, and the plan is as follows. Due to the ongoing world events, we will do a second round of merging immediately after Migo Strikes Back, 1.5 months later. Still targeting the less active older states. This time, we will merge more than 2 servers together to get more people on the merge server, and this time the merge will be more extensive. So they're just kind of going about this systematically, right? Which I don't think is a bad thing. At least they're letting us know. We're not in that limbo of what is happening, what are you doing, why is there so much of a delay, right? So we got some more information about it. I'll tell you the thing that concerns me the most in that is in that first statement, we will help all of our survivors to be able to play with more people through merging or other forms.
Which means that it's not necessarily working out.
That's what I'm gathering from that statement. Mako, what are you thinking? Like, I'm concerned.
It's very concerning because they've had their first round of mergers for over a month now, and they're still gathering information. So that either tells me you didn't have a large enough sample size, and I mean, if you're only merging 6 states and you merge them down to 3 states, those 3 states still aren't even enough to fill out a survival of the fittest blood sport. So what are you observing? I mean, they're not even doing what your game is meant to do right now. So yeah, you're gonna merge more states next time. Cool. But if you're only gonna do another 12 states, I mean, by the time you get to 125, which we're in and we've been complaining about merge for a year now, we're gonna be at year.
Becca will be a general. Becca will be a general.
Right? It's frustrating because everybody's been asking for merge. They put so much hype on merge for October. They merged 6 states. And now we're after over a month now of this merge, we were still observing what's going on. And apparently they're not getting their feedback they want out of the current merge. So now they're finding other ways to invent the wheel. And it's very frustrating because now, even in 125, we've gone from 4 alliances to 3 active alliances, and even those active alliances, the top people have just not wanting to play anymore. I mean, we've gotten to the point where we're back to last year when we were talking with Venom and with Delete and Daedric, where it's one alliance rules everything because they went out and bought everything that the color red because it must be their favorite color. So, I mean, it's getting to that point where like, we just need something. But I'm not going to wait until July of next year for them to finally get to 125 at 6 states apiece.
Yeah. It's just, it's weird that they're having issues with this because due to PTR, they have the ability to kind of, condense your base into a data file, which then they can then drop into basically anywhere. So like, and the PTR will run the new events and the structure will be of like in a newer state, with like the different farms, the alliance farms and towers and stuff like that. So I don't understand why they can't take the data from one and just kind of, allow it to just kind of put it into another, So even if it's just like, hey, in order to get this done, we're going to kind of go ahead and put you into this, I mean, I guess they kind of send you a new version. They kind of send you the new version of the game to install, and then, the data file kind of transfers right over. But it's still very like, it just seems very wonky that they can't figure this out. I really do feel like this is like a new, like engineer team trying to figure this out, and they're going like, yeah, I program in this, and I don't read the language that that's programmed in, or some kind of like legal thing where it's like, no, that's the data that we made. We're not going to allow you to alter it. Because it's we gave it to you. You don't technically own it or something like that. It's got to be something really wonky. The fact that they just can't figure this out. It's just weird.
Eric
really
B is a lot more optimistic, I think, than we are. So I read that and I'm like, merging is not working. He read that and see, this is why we like having people in the chat, because sometimes maybe we're a little too jaded. Eric B does not seem quite as much. So he looked at it with the play more people part, and they said play with more people through merging or other forms. And he was saying other forms is referring to other things such as Golgoroth and Azertane Heist.
That's a very viable argument. That could definitely be the case. Like, all right, well, you can't play with more people in your own state, so why don't we go ahead and get you to play more people in other games? I was like, even if they made Reservoir, like, the Finn, the idea of being able to play Reservoir almost like whenever you want, kind of log in, like, let me go ahead and bang out a Reservoir, would be epic. That would be awesome.
Yes.
A random match play like Reservoir, that'd be like, that would increase gameplay. Like not even for like a reward standpoint, just to like get enjoyment out of the game stance.
Yeah. I mean, besides schedule, right? The biggest problem with Reservoir is that it only allows for 30 people to play in an alliance of 100, right? So your lower half of your alliance is usually going to be excluded. Between your starters and your reserves, you're pretty much in the top half, and the reserves you'll usually be again in the top half of your alliance, right? So short of any issues with like schedules where all of a sudden like a bunch of people aren't there, like the bottom half is, even though they're in an alliance that can do res raid, a lot of times they're not going to be able to play. They're just not going to be as powerful. So, especially if your alliance is active. Now, there are a lot of alliances that have kind of the 100 players, which we talked about, but only like 60 are active, and that may vary, right? But now, if you make it so that you can queue up for a res raid whenever, right? You could even have your lower half of your alliance do a res raid at the same time of your higher end, and have like 2 different power values going into the res raid and trying to do a matchup. Like, res raid actually is a really fun game mode. They're working on the matchmaking, which is great, but if they made it more like queue up and just go type of thing, rather than it being kind of this like scheduled event where you're like forced into these little time sinks, it would be so much better. And if they're going to do that with Azertane Heist, that's fine too. Like if they make that kind of like a single player version to be able to do that, I'm fine with that as well. But the concept should be there where the matchmaking works, which for res raid, for the most part, I mean, there's a lot of issues with it, but res raid isn't the worst necessarily. It's not great, but it wasn't the worst with matchmaking. They're already improving it, but give us the ability to queue up just whenever, with whatever group we have, group up 30 people and just go.
People would be less disappointed if you didn't wait, the entire time for res raid, and then you're like, oh, res raid's finally here, and this is the worst match ever. you know? if you could be like, all right, we'll just run it back in the next hour or so, like you'd be like, yeah, I don't. Oh, we're blowing them out. It's not that big a deal. Oh, we're getting blown out. All right, let's do another one. It would be a completely different experience. Take advantage of the best things that your game has to offer. And I don't think that like you'll ever get to the point where it's like, unless you just don't like the game, where you'd be like, Res Raid's awful. That also might fuel people to be like, I need to be another rally lead, and I'll spend a little bit more money to get that much stronger to make my Res Raid game that much better for me personally. Like that would be a reason to kind of spend. That wouldn't cost them. I can't imagine it cost them.
Yeah.
Well, and Res Raid has one of the best stores in the game. Like for anybody, all it's really missing is plasma. It gives you general frags. It gives you actual hero frags. I think now they just upgraded again. I was looking at it the other day because I bought some more Chief Gear stuff, but yeah, they just upgraded to Martha, Luca, and Jess fragments, which is the last generation of heroes already. Then you've got hero gear designs, hero gear parts, Chief Gear designs, badge tags, badge berets, speed ups, and Chief talent points. So that's a really good store. That's how I've kept up with my Chief Gear. How I've got it, I think, purple level 2 as a free to play because Res Raid gives 15 Chief Gear designs every 7 days or 10 days, however long it takes to resupply. But that's one of the best stores. And you're only getting, I think, if you don't participate but your team wins, you get 1,500 credits or whatever. But if you participate, you get credits based on how well you do on points. So that would definitely be like what Delete said. If you could just pop on and say, hey, I'm going to do a Res Raid quick and get points that way, that's an awesome store for anybody who's not willing to spend a whole ton of money.
As I buy some general frags. Just yeah, Ronnie is saying the same thing. Our last Res Raid, the other alliance didn't show up. Yeah, it becomes pretty awful when that happens. I'll say the other fun possibility too, if we just get like this free queue up type of thing, is one alliance could do like evens and odds in terms of power, and then potentially you both can queue up and face each other. Like members within the alliance actually be able to fight each other in kind of a fun, no consequence thing, right? Because the troops are not like actually killed or anything like that. In just a no consequence, like just have at it fun within your own alliance type of scenario. Like that would be a lot of fun if you could queue up multiple different times. So like I said, they have the kind of the structures in there for this kind of gameplay. I just hope they really kind of capitalize on it. Reservoir Raid is one of the better things in the game, and it kind of sucks more recently for me because, well, all my weekends are being eaten up with the upcoming wedding. I haven't been able to really do Res Raid for a little while now, and I missed Res Raid because it was a lot of fun. So yeah, hopefully they make it a little more like play whenever you can type of thing, because I would probably be playing tomorrow, like a lot of tomorrow. I would just do Res Raid in between the day. So okay, speaking of which, the next section is about matchmaking. So the fairness of the Reservoir Raid and SVS is the focus of our recent optimization. We made a tweak in mid-October to better reflect players' combat abilities in the water battlegrounds through a new battle power calculation system. We are still observing the data effect after optimization went online. Matching is mainly about water sources and SVS, so let's talk about them separate. First of all, we would like to explain to you a consensus, which is in order to achieve the right match, the matching pool must be large enough so we cannot divide it too much. This leads to a series of problems that you can see. So I'm just going to start right there. They're right. Like if you only have like a few, obviously when you have a bigger pool, you have a bigger variance and you're able to find somebody that matches you a little bit more, right? Versus if the only people queuing up are just like a small number, then obviously one matching up with number two may seem right from a ranking standpoint. But if one has like 100 million more BP than the other one, then it kind of makes a difference. So, like you can look at it from a ranking perspective, but unless the pool is large enough, it's not going to matter too much. So I feel like that is a fair point. However, I'll counterpoint myself. They limit res raid to the top 20 alliances in a state. They limit the pool themselves. So, I guess I'll ask Mako and then Delete. I know your states were not very deep right now. I know there's only a few alliances that are active. But if you think back to when the state was still young, if they made Res Raid available to lower ranked alliances in your state, let's say they made it to like 30, 35, 40, or forget that, they just make it open to all alliances can queue up for Res Raid. Do you think that would have kept more interest? Or do you think it just would have been a futile attempt because those people are probably not going to be remaining interested anyways?
I think it'd probably be the latter on that. I mean, there's alliances in 125 that still have one or two or three people active that have probably never been in the top 20. I'm thinking maybe like, I think Ray comes to mind. They might have been like 18 or 19 at one point, but they've only ever had 3 or 4 people who have actually been really active. And I'm sure, I mean, yeah, Res Raid is cool and all, and it's one of the better game modes, but the big hindrance there is it only allows 30 people to go into the game. And that's, if you get an alliance like Triple X, take it for an example, where they do all their strongest people in there, it's always the same 30 people over and over and over and over and over. So that other 70 people just kind of get bitter about it and they don't really care. Oh, hey, Res Raid, let's go vote for a time. Well, what does it matter? I'm not going to get chosen anyway. So, and a lot of people get that mindset. So, I think having it where you can queue up and you could just get a group from like, because different law has been one of those big things. We've always had people from every time zone. So you've always got, all right, 30 people at this time zone, 25 at this one. So we used to have 2 different trap times because you couldn't get everybody to get the rewards at one trap. So if you could do that where you have Res Raid, okay, let's do Res Raid on Friday at 10 UTC and let's do Res Raid on Monday at 22 UTC, just so you get more people who are involved. That's even a better thing. But for them to open it up to like the top 40 alliances, I don't know if it would have kept anybody in the game, but I think we would have ran into a lot of problems like with Azertane Heist, where the servers just got overloaded. Especially at that beginning point of Res Raid when it was so new, and I mean that was only what 3 months into the game, so
yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the biggest problem still is that only like less than half of the alliance, even at the upper levels, if you're active, can actually participate. So that's a good point. Delete, your thoughts?
I think, I mean, there's got to be the pool's got to be, it depends on what they're structuring the pool off of. Like, I know the one, like when Fury was always on, she was always saying how like they face the same people in Res Raid, like, like almost every other time, and there's a sense of like, all right, well, you should only pair people in Res Raid that have the access to the same amount of heroes, or else it's, no matter what the BP is, if someone's got new heroes and someone's got old heroes, then it's just not going to work out, So the group of states that they're probably pooling together is probably off. I mean, I think that's what's really causing the matchup errors is the fact that they're probably only grouping, 25 states as opposed to 50 or 75 states, at a clip. So then that's kind of like, because that would, the pooling issue would kind of be on them, really, more than anything else. It's just, that's kind of how they set it up, and there's really nothing they can do about it, unless they kind of give you, a kind of and other games do this, like Clash Royale. If you're a giant and someone else is like someone else is just starting out the game or whatever, it kind of levels the top players down and the lower player up, so they're both equalized. Where if someone's a 14 and another person's an 8, it makes you both 11s. So, and I get the point where it's like, all right, well, you're kind of taking stuff out of people's faces, altering, whatever. But, when it comes down, would Reservoir be more fun if it was more strategy, than it was pay to play, So that would be something that they could do also. But I think they should open it up. They should open up the pool, open up the pool of states, to the point, max it out. I mean, it's not like, like state 1 through 6 as Joker, and then it usually goes to about like up to state 75, I feel, where it's like they're at the new gen a little bit before we are, and from 125 to 359, you're basically about a month and a half behind us. So in a month and a half in this game, this growth is actually a pretty good amount of states. They need to kind of make sure that they're maxing out that level of basically of states that make sense in order to find the group, in order to find a pool. They do that, I think the problem gets solved.
Yeah. Okay. So continuing with that, yeah, Eric B, I just saw that too. So they're still doing the players and developer stuff, and they just talked a little bit more about Joker and all the other stuff too. So we have a lot to discuss. It is crazy how much we've gotten in the update stuff. So so continuing with this one then, the ordinary Reservoir raid, in different generations of heroes between states, there should be a physical partition. In other words, one server, server number 1 and server number 801, no matter what, will not be matched. And this is called a physical partition. Now this physical partition has only 5 layers, and we have 8 generations of heroes. We will follow up to re-examine how this physical partition, because besides heroes, what actually impacts the combat experience are equipment and other things. So they're trying to figure out how to divide it. They were just dividing it by heroes before. Now they've dropped that a little bit and created other separations. Reservoir League is manually divided into groups directly according to the physical partition. So in principle, there will be no cross-generation matches, but there is still an exception. The server of the, quote, Oasis of Hope tournament, because this group of states is generally still growing, so there was intergenerational matching. The intergenerational phenomenon that occurred in the middle and early October of the old servers was a mistake on our part and will not occur in Season 4 Res League. And they apologize for that. State... Okay, they wrote state welfare. I think they meant warfare. State warfare, SVS, similar to the ordinary Reservoir raid, we will study the physical partition settings, optimize the matching algorithm, as we have received many reports that their strength is not equal to that of their opponent. It is because the matching algorithm is not a comprehensive 3-dimensional measurement of everyone's strength. We will be tracking continuously the effect of this part of optimization, and to continue to optimize. We will expect these changes to bring you a better experience. Needless to say that we will welcome you to communicate with us at any time. So they're updating the matchmaking, which I think is fine. They gave a lot of detail, which is nice, but ultimately they're updating matchmaking. I don't think there's too much more to say about that, because they're just reviewing everything right now, but they kind of explained what they did, but they're just trying to make it easier. Is there anything either of you wanted to add to that one? Okay. Yeah, I think that one is fairly straightforward. It's a good one, but just fairly straightforward what they're doing. About resources. We recently received requests from survivors to reduce resource consumption and increase output. As the game has been online for more than 2 years, the demand for an increase on resources for iterations and gameplay has grown further. Some survivors have the problem of insufficient resource supply to enjoy a good game experience. To address this issue, we will make the following adjustments. In next week's update, the resource requirement for healing troops during battle stage and state warfare will be reduced by 25%. So that's good. And according to the server lifecycle, we will increase the resource rewards for daily missions and intelligence state missions. As nice as those are, I still feel like that doesn't address the underlying problem. They need to increase the amount of resources stored in the warehouse that don't get stolen if you get attacked. And they need to increase the amount of production from your actual units in your base. Like, those are honestly crap. The resource generation from your farms and your lumber yards and everything in your base are not good. You get most of yours just from the gathering outside in the world. If they increased your warehouse so that you didn't lose as much, and I know they did that once before, I think they need to do it again because I still don't think it's high enough. It doesn't scale with plasma either. So that's another problem because it's still stuck at like level 30. So increase of the warehouse and increase of your actual ability to grow your own food and lumber and all that in your base, I think would be a much bigger impact than what they're doing with kind of the rewards and all of that. I think the reduction of the healing of the troops is big. Because that's all you're doing during that time is just constantly healing in small batches. You're using up all your resources. So I think that one is good, but I don't think the resource rewards is necessarily helping.
I was actually going to, because I have more decorations that I can actually put in my base, I was going to destroy every one of my farms or leave one of each farm type, in my base. Get rid of the farms altogether because they're kind of pointless.
I don't think you can.
Basically, oh, you can't destroy those?
I don't think you can destroy them. I'm going to double check, but when I tried last time, they don't even have the destroy option.
Oh, damn, that wouldn't have worked anyway. Yeah, I have more decorations than I can plant.
Yep, you have like no ability to, if I take off the building
to take out.
Yep. You're stuck with it.
Such a drag. Yeah, because I mean, the amount that you get from them is so trivial.
Yeah.
It's 7,000. It's like maxes out at 28,000 or something like that. It's something like ridiculously low. That they're only good for like the start of the game and that's it.
Yeah.
So, reducing that 25% though is pretty big because if you're active at SVS or you're trying to compete for center, you can go through a lot of resources.
Yep.
Pretty quick. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense. 25% sounds like a lot. Not really as much as you think though.
Yeah.
Being that you can't, it still takes you, even the 75% of the cost, it still takes you a while to recoup that. Because you can drop $1 billion in SVS in reserves, healing your troops,
Yeah.
So
I think the big thing for me is that it caps out how much your resources can gather in your base too. Because like if you go to bed and sleep for 6 hours, you come back on, you hit your gas. I think it caps out like 600,000. I mean, that's one level 8 tile right there. But if you come back after 3 days offline, you're still only getting 600,000.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, if they were gonna make it something, get rid of that cap where it just keeps collecting over time. So if I log in after 3 days or whatever and like if I have a family vacation, I'm off for 3 days, I come back, I've been zeroed. What is 600,000 freaking gas gonna do?
Yeah.
It's gonna help me heal maybe 50,000 troops. Woohoo!
Mhm.
That's not even enough to send out 5 marches to farm for gas. So I don't know. They do need to upgrade that, but I'm skeptical of telling them they do that, because then it's just gonna be another plasma drain. Oh, here you got to upgrade your resource buildings with plasma now. So then it costs 5 plasma per upgrade. There's 5 of them that just to go to a 1-star freaking fuel tank, and there's 4 of those. I mean, that's just gonna drain plasma for everybody then.
Yeah.
But it is in their nature where they're not just going to say, "Oh, we've noticed that this isn't enough. We're going to compensate by increasing the production for these at level 30 by X amount." They're going to make you pay for it if for any little gain you're going to have.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff should be based off of your, you know, your max potential, you know, or your gameplay, really. You know, like the bigger you are, the bigger your warehouse is. You know, the stronger everything is, the bigger everything is that you get. You know, you get that much more from a farm, you get that much more from this. You know, that would make a lot more sense as opposed to it being, you know, a stock. Hey, this is what it is, you know, when you start the game, and this is when it is when you quit the game. You know, it should be a sliding scale.
Right.
Because especially since you're not really I mean, until like lately, I mean, you can trade resources to help people out. But even then, that's not like a considerable amount of resources that you can gain per day anyway. So, you know, it's not really that, you know, like monumental of a thing. So being that you can't really trade anything away anyway, you know, if you're just doing it from yourself, everything should kind of scale up as you scale up.
Yeah. Yeah, at least link the like warehouse and the farms and those kind of things to your HQ. If your HQ goes up, then all of those automatically go up, and then you don't have to worry about kind of what Mako was talking about, which is now you have to level those up. Just have them match your headquarters, and then they'll boost up. Um, Ronnie K is saying it's hard to get plasma now as a free to play. We have a couple more things on this particular post, and then we will see how hard it is to get plasma, because I still have to do. Have to do our weekly awful plasma thing. Now, I will say, one day this past week, I did get 14.
Whoa, that's big.
Yeah, I got 14. I was like, holy hell. Like, I hit a 4, a 3. It was just like, is this the right account? Like, what the hell is going on? Yeah, I ended up with 14. I was like, okay, well, that was awesome. But of course, it doesn't happen on stream. So we'll see what happens on stream now, because that's what's gonna matter. But we'll read the other ones here. There are 2 more parts to this one. The next one is about the recycling of existing props. So with the launch of new activities, new features, there are many expired items in players' backpacks. In response to this problem, we will open the recycling center once a month and gradually adjust the types of recyclable items and the maximum number of recycled items. The recycling center will be open next week in November, and then the survivors will have a first-hand experience with the initial adjustments. So I think that's fine. It's just sometimes they cap these things, which makes it annoying. They don't just let you straight up cash everything, so you still have to do it like little by little by little, despite it being there only once a month. So that gets a little annoying. Eric B to the if that was to the 14, yes. The 14 plasma was definitely a happy moment. And then the other one about the expansion of the settlement range and building removal. We feel the pain of our players as this involves our underlying data storage mechanism. We have been storing the world events information on the buildings. Therefore, as it is more challenging to change this, will take more time to be implemented, but we are making good progress in preparation. The function of removing from your settlement buildings will go live in Q1 2022. So maybe we will be able to remove the farm and the lumber yard. But for now we can't, but maybe soon we will. And Ronnie K is saying, I need a new phone. Mine won't let me do update for the past 3 updates. Not enough memory on my phone. Ooh. The game is getting big. The game is definitely getting big. But yeah, that kind of sucks. To be
Oh my God.
A trick that you could do if you haven't tried it yet is delete the app completely and then reinstall it, because if you've had the game on there since beginning, you just keep building its data storage. But if you delete it and then it just uploads the most current version of the game, and it actually reduces the size of the file by a lot.
Yeah.
I know I have to do it with Facebook, the Facebook app all the time on my old iPhone. So
Okay, so
They gave me back my skin.
they
This
did?
game is so wonky. Yeah. They took it away, and now I have it back.
Thank you, devs. If you're listening, thank you. That is like the best way to handle this.
Yeah, that's what you should have did from the beginning. Damn it! No, I'm
Hey.
just kidding.
No, I'm glad. If that's the way, if they did that, that is awesome. That's the way it should have been handled. It's not like anyone else's fault besides kind of your own, but just treat it as a Black Friday secret sale that Delete managed to find.
Exactly.
Okay, here we go. Let us go and try to create some plasma. All right. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, what are the guesses? Does that mean we all got a skin? No. No, Eric B. I wish I got tofu again. I wish I got tofu again. Okay.
I only got 6 today, so I'm gonna go low for you. Let's go 7.
Oh.
Okay. Okay.
I'm going back to 8. I'm going 8, my trusty number.
8 is usually the trusty number for me. 8 has been fairly consistent. All right, you guys in chat can guess too. How many plasma will I get today? We have a 7 from Mako, who unfortunately got 6. And then Delete went with 8. Eric is going 10. Eric is going 10. That's not bad. That's minimally what I would want, because that would be a balance with constantly hitting that 2. So Ronnie is also going 8. Okay, here we go. Here we go. And the first one, a +2. So unless I get like no bonuses for the rest of these, it's not going to be 7. So we have a +2 so far. The next one is a +3. So currently on track, we're minimum of 10 right now. So Eric B, basically you have won this. You have won this already, Eric B. Okay, the next one is nothing. Okay, the next one is nothing. And the next one is nothing. So we got exactly 10. Eric B nailed it. Exactly 10. And that plasma immediately goes over here and creates my one new plasma conductor. Okay, there we go. So I got what I needed. I got my 10. That's like my minimum goal, and we got it. So Eric B wins. Nicely done. Okay. So now we have explored the awfulness of how it is to get plasma. Let's go through some of these other things now, because then they started to do the player and developer question feedback. And you do win. You do win. He's all about the party now. He's all about the party. So, they did the player and developer feedback. They still have that ongoing now. We'll catch up, but they did summarize some of them from the previous time. So, quick summary on some of the other ones. First question, would the dev team be able to release notes in PDF format that we can download for these upcoming updates in a nice centralized format? It is going to be difficult to capture everything in this format as a recap. And that's for the developer and feedback thing. They said we definitely can. I don't know if that means they're going to, but apparently they can create it in a PDF. So we'll see if they do that. Will you delete inactive alliance territories? Our state, 475, is filled with alliances that have no players and are just occupying territory. And they responded, we are also working on a solution for dead alliances. Auto merging is the current top choice on our table. So that is
Can't you
something.
just burn the towers?
So in your guys' towers is different than ours. So given that they're in 475, it'll be similar to 359. You have to burn a tower only if you're adjacent to it. And sometimes you can't build all the way over there. Yeah. You'd have to build over to there and try. Yeah, it becomes a pain. So, yeah. So the answer is yes, you can burn it, but you have to like build out to it. Next one. Would it be possible to create an event based on the intelligence of the player, his way of playing, and not his ability to spend? I mean, not able to purchase bundles, which includes the benefits of spender, because at the end, the rewards go to those who pay the most, and who need it is the least is not logical. Which makes sense, right? Those that spend get the most rewards, but they also don't need it because they spend, so they have pretty much everything anyways. And they responded, we tried on the underground, but clearly we didn't do that too well. We will try to improve and bring other features into the game. Yeah, I think the underground was one potential way, right? There are limited attacks. You get your stuff in. You can try to get your bonuses. However, you get more of the currency if you have, like, the stronger heroes at the beginning, but then it's about accumulating all of your buffs and all of that. So,
well, and even then you could buy more of the energy.
That's true.
So if you were pay to win and you wanted to get top ranks, you just went and bought more energy. Whereas if you were free to play, you had to spend 2,000 biocaps to get an extra 100 energy, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, the person in first place is the person that's bought every pack of energy, you know, and every time, every day. That's intense, but that's what people are doing.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. Were there any negative impacts on player experiences due to merging? And what do they look like? Can you make some examples to better understand your cautiousness? And they responded. Basically, the merge will result in more fights and pressure of getting used to new people and the environment. We have been scrutinizing the currently merged states to see what we can improve for the next round. Which makes sense. You have new people coming in, you have to reestablish your territory. In some ways, you're trying to establish your dominance because you were probably active and dominant in your old state. You're now in a new state with others that were the same, that were active and dominant, and you're trying to establish. So, but I think that's part of the game. It's a fighting game.
Yeah, I mean that's complaining for giving people what they want.
Yeah.
What? You basically have a state for state in your own state. Like capital actually means something. Or you could have two alliances that come together and like, hey, where are you guys at? Are you guys a-holes or are you guys cool? You know, like, let's set this up so the game doesn't continue to die for us. You know, like, you could have that go so many different ways.
Yeah. So overall, I mean, if that's what they're worried about and they're just monitoring it, I'm fine. That doesn't seem like it's too bad overall from what they said. So if all it is fighting, it's like they were in a state doing nothing. So fighting is probably a good thing. That's probably what they've been waiting for. So next thing, how do you work out the number of players active in a state? I know players in my state that play on 5 or more accounts because people left the game. Is that considered 5 active accounts or just 1? Because if it's 5, then you start with a wrong number of active people in a state when in reality there are less. Okay, so first off, I'm just going to point out that playing other people's accounts and all of that
not really great.
No. It's actually a terms of service thing, first off. So you have to be careful about, like, I wouldn't blame Kings Group for counting it because that's the only way they can do it. if you ask them to start tracking down IPs to see whether or not it's a player or an account, you're asking for way too many problems. So I'm just going to ask that of the actual question asker. But the answer was, we are very concerned about that issue. Trust me, we're also trying to distinguish all the alts while doing data analysis. I believe the data we're going to use for the next round will be much more accurate. So maybe they are going to start tracing down IPs.
Yeah, but what about all those people that use VPNs?
They better use a different VPN for every single one. Otherwise, they'll still...
Yeah.
The IP is not necessarily to trace where you are in this case. The IP, even through a VPN, is to trace that these accounts are being logged in.
How many
from
people
the
are actually
same.
logged in?
Yep.
Yeah.
So if they see the same IP, even if it's through a VPN, it's going to register as the same thing. So, yeah, you better like constantly have it changing if that's going to be the concern. But I doubt they're going to do that. That's way too intensive for a game like
Yeah,
this.
I doubt there's also anyone that's out there that's like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and just start logging in from a billion different coffee shops. So this way I can keep my state from not merging.
Yes. Luckily, there's a Starbucks around every corner, so you just Starbucks hop in order to play.
Hold on, I just got to log in on my 5 iPads.
Yep. Each of your iPads has a label for which Starbucks is supposed to be logged in under. This is the one on this intersection. This is the one for this intersection.
No thanks. I'll just have a water.
Yep. Oh my god, do you see him? That's the guy that comes in every day and plays that weird zombie game on his iPad. He
Seriously,
just sits
he
there
doesn't
drinking
like to
water.
talk about it.
Yeah, and then he just
doesn't
moves
like to talk.
across the street and plays water.
That'd be epic.
Oh man. Okay.
Driving around the neighborhoods, looking for open Wi-Fi.
Yeah. All right. Next one. There's been a massive problem with plasma research when two big players in the towers and one has worse stats, but more plasma research done than the one with better stats and less plasma research done, then it takes the player the worst stats. Could we get something added so we can pick whose stats are used, or if it can be automatically into picking the stats of the best player and make it so that it isn't based on research? So research was determining the stats of the towers, and they said we will try to fix this issue soon. So basically, they should just pick the best stats. It shouldn't be based on research or anything like that. Whoever has the best stats just takes it.
Yeah,
Right.
but there's so many other variables. It all depends on what they're like counting towards that. You know, like how much plasma is in your rally. You know, like how much this to that. How much what's your troop makeup? You know, like that's a tough one to kind of bang out. You know?
Yeah, that's true. So, but they said they'll try and fix it. So maybe there's an easier way, and if there's a way that you can actually pick whose stats are being used, that would be nice. So
yeah, that would be really nice.
Yeah. So next one, is Golgoroth coming back? And they said yes. I believe it will be there in 1 to 2 months together with its single player version. So that's nice. Next, okay. Make state versus state a 4-state fight on it rather than 1v1 or 10 states. We are bored of fighting each other in fortress and bunkers. And they said something similar will be online soon in terms of an alliance clash. 10 states together will break our server, but they're looking at kind of an alliance clash type of thing, which could be pretty cool. So that's a neat little insight there. Next one, are you guys going to improve your customer service tech team? They literally don't believe any issues we have without screenshot proof. And their only response, in process. That's it. Really? Okay, so part of me would have put in that response, honestly, just because it's me and I'm a little trolly. The answer would have been, please send me a screenshot of what customer service issues you're talking about.
It's so true. You can be like, hi, how's it going? Please send me a screenshot of this conversation.
Yeah,
That's pretty funny. I'm
Mhm.
like, I don't have a screenshot. Like, don't you know, guys, know this is going wrong? I wouldn't be complaining if it wasn't wrong.
Mm. They were nice. They just wrote in process, but I totally would have written, please send me a screenshot of your customer service issues. Ronnie K is saying, in other words, no. I don't think it's a no, though. If nothing else, we saw with Delete just now that you got your
like
skin back.
Sure.
So. Yeah.
Yeah, which hasn't even been reported to me.
Yeah. So maybe they are doing stuff. I mean, maybe they're doing stuff in the background. They're just not saying anything. So, okay. So the next one. I appreciate y'all doing this. However, a lot of our issues have been addressed with Teddy and other points of contact. Teddy has a ton of our feedback. Have y'all talked with her? She has collected a ton of our fix and wants. Seems to me that those fixes haven't reached y'all, or haven't you taken them seriously? Teddy is a good resource. And they basically said, yes, we're trying to build a special process for all the gamers to report your concerns to devs starting next week. Every day we will reply to the most frequent issues in the Discord, and every week we'll try to update. Basically, they're bypassing Teddy. They're just like, we're just going to do our own developer feedback. So I don't know if there was a breakdown. I remember there were some issues before with the developers and all that. And Teddy was on the stream here when McVenom was streaming. So we have had her on stream before. So yeah. And she wasn't happy when she joined. I remember that. She was not.
No, she was like, we did all this work and they didn't listen to any of it.
Yep.
You know? And all of it, everything that she spoke of is basically stuff that we're talking about now.
Yep.
You know, and they just treated her like, you know what, you're just such a small population that, you know, we don't think everyone feels like you. So we're not even going to worry about what you're saying. And meanwhile, everyone felt like
yeah.
To the point where, you know, I mean, it was weird because like they were using her videos, but not using her video, you know, like saying that they were using her video. It's a very bizarre thing.
Yeah, it is.
The whole situation. And she was a really good asset to the game. I mean, that was not for nothing. If anyone's ever offering you, I don't think she is.
I've seen some Savagery Gaming videos come out.
Oh, wow.
Lately, I thought I did, right? I have to double check. I thought I saw some Savagery videos come out lately. But I'll have to check. I don't recall now, because I have been in and out a little bit. So, but yeah, if she hasn't played, then that kind of sucks. But I thought she still was. So we'll be able to check on that, or if somebody in chat knows, because I'm sure most people.
Oh no, she's still putting stuff out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she's still doing all of it. She's just kind of doing it on her own, On
her own.
Yeah. So, okay. Next. Okay, yeah, and Ronnie K is saying she's still, yeah. So, next question. We will face a state with full Migo 2.0 buffs for SVS tomorrow. 100% buffs from CC buff and general use buff. We are still on Yith. How is this fair at all, and why isn't it an easy thing to turn it off for those matches? Speaking of Migo store, I'm still hoping that I can get my 200k Migo info and glory from my season 1 that you guys took from all the test dates when the store closed down right after the season ended. A couple people in my state were able to get the store back and had it for the whole month afterwards, and most people never got it back. The comp for it was crap, and I don't understand how some people were able to keep the store and have access and most people don't. They said, sorry to hear that. We'll fix it soon to make sure, 1, at least the 2 states in the same world event will be matched up. 2, if we can, we'll make the states entering the same world event at the same time to be matched up. Other issues will be fixed soon and have been explained above, which they did. They talked a little bit about fixing all of that. So, okay. And then the last one, King's Group has money for better servers. Why is this a problem? Make it 5 states, but still better servers. Currently, people lag due to servers. And they said, well, it's not only due to the quality of the server, since internet speed could not be improved by investing more money on our server. Plus, most mobile devices could not handle that either. So basically, people are complaining about performance issues. Their downloads take a long time. They have a lot of downloads that you have to do in order to get into the game. I don't think there's anything that you can do to fix that, short of changing how you load the game, which is probably a big undertaking. So,
yeah, it used. I mean, I feel like the frequency of how much you download every time you log in now is, you know, every time you log in, you've got like 20 megabytes basically.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's you know, it's like, what's in there? Battle mechanics? Oh, you tweaking them again?
Okay, so now I am scanning through the players and developers channel. So they have a lot that they've been kind of discussing. So let me get to the first post, because there's a lot of questions. And let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to read through a lot of this, because sometimes they do a big response and sometimes they just do like little ones.
I would say they're answering about 2% of the questions. You know?
Yeah.
But they're answering big questions.
Yeah, so they're
but
answering
a lot of them are just
so,
developer feedback. So yeah.
Yeah, so for Reservoir Raid matchmaking, they said that they're discussing a new program to work on the matchmaking, which we talked about a little bit. State Warfare has been fixed directly. The last issue of compensation will send in the next week or so. So I guess there was an issue with matchmaking that I missed somewhere. They don't really like detail this very much in like the summary post that they're putting. Okay, big one here. About the Reservoir Raid's new feature. We have received all the feedback from everyone. Thanks to everyone's enthusiastic suggestions. First of all, this new feature will definitely not affect Season 3 Reservoir Raid League, which we have confirmed many times within our team. The reason we wanted to make this change was we looked at the game data and found that there were very, very few games that could be called, quote, quality games, unquote, even if both sides were equally matched. This is especially true in Reservoir League, which makes most Reservoir Raid League games almost unwatchable in terms of process and outcome, with the outcome determined in the first 10 minutes. You can also look through the current Reservoir Raid League score results to confirm this. This makes Reservoir Raid and League, which is supposed to focus on team intelligence and interaction, it is only effective combat for the first 10 minutes and then wait for the central reservoir to be unlocked. From the time the central reservoir is captured, without even waiting for the water tank to appear, smaller players start to suffer, as they are greeted with endless slaughter by opposing big players, and if they are lucky, the big players on their side may be able to reinforce them, but more often than not, it is bad luck. Yeah, it's true. Right? You just go around and you start zeroing people if you can, if you find the little stragglers. I mean, even though I was never like the strongest one, that's even what I would do. I would find like the little bases that would eventually try to get water tanks and just hit them. Hit them wherever they could, and then when they start, like, if they're currently in a building, you attack their building, and then they retreat, and then you send a troop right at their base to try and kill them and time it. So, like, that's the strategy. That's the way you
bully
have to do
the people you can bully. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, there's no other way to get around it.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah. So, so we'll see how that all ultimately plays out. Then, oh god, where'd it go? No, scroll down. It was down further. There's so many in here. It just moved. Okay. So, not even the water tank can be properly collected, but they can only wait for their big players to beat the opponent's side and then not feeling they're valued. So they're working on some development to change this. In many player research, we received a lot of complaints from the new player population before 60 days about the battle of water sources, that they could not beat it, could not play it, and could not turn the situation around no matter how hard they tried to bump buildings and collect water. So as of now, there's still a small group of alliances that have not played with regards to the merge. So they're working on a lot of things. They're working on trying to get alliances with closer raid scores. They're working to see how close the results were to try and do that. They're trying to narrow the results to try and figure this out. So basically, they're looking at a lot of things in order to try and fix Reservoir raid matching. What they said, after careful evaluation, if the last evaluation today still passes, then we will open the Pioneer test to the following servers in Reservoir raid. Again, it will not affect League. And they will release kind of their new testing to states 1 through 16, 385 to 390, 553 to 564, 660 to 666. Haha. And then 763 to 768, and then 829 to 834. So that's what they're calling their Pioneer test, which is their new raid kind of test. So again, not bad. They're working on it, right? Which is all a positive direction. So I'll say that's good. Next, they have adjusted Hank, and they're working on Joker. So about G8 hero Hank, we received a lot of comments saying that they do not like his current style of gameplay. In response to that, we have made changes to his skills so you can experience the new Hank skills. So they already changed Hank, I guess. Do you guys have Hank?
People are sending and people are sending like 100% infantry and winning because of Hank. It's like, wait, what? How does this make sense? How does this work? So he's definitely broken. Wacko was broken when he first came out. Also, I think it's like, all right, what are we going to do to get a new hero that's awesome? And then it's like, all right, we'll do this. And it's like, well, yeah, that is better. And it's like, wait, we didn't realize it was going to be that much better. Like, wait, what? Are you just making this stuff up as you go along? It's almost time to recycle some of the old skills of everybody else, the people you don't use anymore.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's the overall stats anyway. It's the stats of the new heroes more than anything else. Even defensive heroes aren't really working as much as they used to. Yeah. For such a long time, it was like, oh, you got to double rally everything. Everything's got to be double rally. Everything. Every single thing. And it was just like, this is annoying. This is just annoying. And now it's not really like that anymore. And it is a little bit, only because, that just not everyone's maxed out,
Yeah.
So the people that are, all right, you got to double rally that because they're that much stronger. But
Eric B is saying they did what's
there.
called a hot fix, so no mail was sent. So I guess people just like log in, and Hank is a little different.
Yeah. Oops. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I just lost all of my infantry because
I mean, hopefully it sounds like it's for the better. So hopefully no one's going to complain if it's like for better. So, But then they're also talking about Joker. So background on the Joker collaboration. We've always been committed to making the world of SOS more realistic and rich. IP collaboration is just one of those ways. So you can feel these characters. So we started talking with Warner Brothers last summer, and we expect to bring you a surprise collaboration after the TWD linkage ends. The Joker. This spring, we finalized the collaboration with WB and DC. As expected, the Joker will take over from The Walking Dead in November. After nearly a year of preparation, we have worked with WB and DC to bring a unique and exclusive SOS Joker and his adventures in this world. Due to the agreement with WB and DC, we needed to keep the surprise for players until the last moment, even though we had already confirmed the collaboration. So in mid-November, we finally announced the news of this linkage to everyone. This time, we have customized the linkage with a very deep plot and more interesting gameplay. So look for further information to be revealed on the community. So that's pretty cool. First of all,
So
there is
another 180-day event.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And first of all, there's the issue of Joker hero placement and his strength that everybody is most concerned about. We will ensure that this hero, all in the Reservoir League except, can get it at the same time, and we will open the 1 through 60 service test by Sunday.
I mean, is the new Batman movie even supposed to come out anytime soon? Is that going to be a Christmas movie?
Next June, I thought, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think right now.
So, maybe it was supposed to be out for Christmas, and then the pandemic was just like, let's wait on this, because I feel like that's been done for a long time.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll see what they do with Joker. About the way you'd be able to get the hero, we will launch a story mode in the Joker related content and Arena of Doom. The survivors who have participated in the PTR test should have experienced it. We have had a good reading of everyone's suggestions. We will bring a very considerable output in this. Story mode is also relatively light. It should be fairly easy to enjoy and not too much or tiring. So we bring you an updated hero available in Reservoir Raid League. But you're welcome to test his strength first before going into live, and we'll wait for your feedback. And then old Resonate heroes, still the same as before. We will launch the return of Resonate heroes with the launch of new combat heroes. So, yeah, we can look forward to Joker. That'll be pretty neat. Let me see. And see where else they kind of posted like a block of responses. They're periodically responding to people's questions in the chat, but it's kind of hard to follow those. So.
Yeah, I mean, the second half of it is really more like responding back to normal complaints.
Yeah, that's what I'm
bugs
seeing.
And stuff like that. It's not like anything more than that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, yeah, and what's neat is that they are doing, I don't know if this is intentional or not, they are doing the players and stuff feedback while we're streaming. So moving forward, we can kind of keep track of it during the actual stream, which will be kind of neat. If they continue to do it at this time of like 2 to 4 UTC, although next week we are off due to Thanksgiving here in the US. But if they continue to do it at this time, that's going to be pretty neat. So we'll be able to monitor that for you. So, but as mentioned, lots of developer response today. Very long stream. So, and very few tangents, which is interesting. I have controlled myself as much as I can.
Agreed. I feel like we didn't force you, and I actually stayed on a half hour later than I was supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Completely blew through my deadline, which I'm probably going to pay for. So I'm going to say my goodbye now.
Yeah, let's go. Let's just go ahead and say our goodbyes now. Okay, Mako, any last words?
Not tonight, I don't think.
Delete.
I got to go.
Okay.
Thanks for watching. This was a very hardcore stream.
Yes.
Hardcore.
Mm-hmm. And we hope you guys got information out of it. And with that, I am Finn with Reality Skewed Gamers. Thanks, guys, for joining, and we'll hope to see you in a couple of weeks. Again, off next week due to Thanksgiving, so we'll see you week after next. Take care, guys.
Rock on, customer service.